and that's how it opens. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to another week of Deck Check. This week, joining me is the Blueberry Jam. I wanted to call
I'm a chicken.
I almost called
I'm
you
a chicken this week.
I almost called you the Michelin Man, and I don't know why. Because there's no similarities between you and the Michelin Man at all. But it just felt like the right thing to say in the moment. I think just because like the way the words roll. Anyways, but welcome back. We got some more decks for you guys this week. Before we jump into that, though, just want to say thank you to all of our members for all of the support that you guys give us. We appreciate you very, very much. And we hope that you are enjoying this content that we have been providing to y'all a little bit early, a little bit ahead of schedule. To people that see this when the video goes public, thank you for checking us out. Thank you for watching. If you're someone who's been around for a while, we appreciate you. If you're someone new here, think about sticking around, hitting that subscribe button. If y'all enjoy this video, make sure to drop a like. And I think that's about it from there. I will say maybe expect us to... I was thinking, I know I'm kind of springing this on you mid-recording, so this is always fun. But I'm thinking that we might start tossing in, as the weeks are getting closer to EX9 and BT22 is only like 3 weeks after EX9 drops, we might start tossing in like a random deck, like sort of like Theory Craft at the end, maybe. Something like that. I don't know. I'm not going to commit to nothing. Just an idea. There's not too much for EX9, realistically, because we don't have all the reveals yet. But 22 will have plenty of stuff. But, you know, maybe we'll start doing that with this series as it develops. But
sure.
Anyways, enough of that. I'm going to go ahead and let Ben take the stage here with the first deck we got.
Yeah. So the first deck here is titled Seadra Duke X. Essentially just blue good stuff right now. It was piloted by Azeshin over in JP. Got first place at a tamer battle of 13 tamers, so congratulations to you. Blue, I was actually ironically gonna make a video about this hopefully within the next week or two, now that like competitive season has taken a little bit of a breather. Blue as an archetype in general, in my opinion, is in a pretty tough spot. You know, I wouldn't say it's in a dead spot. Little shade thrown at the green players. It's not green right now.
Green is in a rough spot. No, you're right.
Green is in a real rough spot. But blue, because the whole idea between blue, before we get to the list, right, is like kind of like you use your unsuspends, you use a lot of low tempo aggression. Jamming is sort of like the keyword that we utilize a whole lot to do a lot of aggressive pokes pretty quickly, and hopefully we can wear out our opponent or just go faster. Nowadays, that strategy tends to either bite you in the butt because you hit a lot of resources in security. There's a lot of ace threats that are running around. We don't have a lot of protections on deletion. So blue's just in a weird spot, but this is probably a good characterization of all the good blue top ends, because blue still does have really good top ends with a pretty efficient engine that kind of wants to embody that spirit of restand, jamming, and tempo. So like the whole fish engine, right, has been pretty successful in doing that. You've got your crabmons that help. I'm wondering if this is the crabmon that actually should give jamming.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet. Looking at stuff, there's probably some wrong cards. The Demi-Vemon's probably something else. I don't think it's Wanya. It might be Buka or something.
No, it's the Demi-V that has, if you have jamming, you draw one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's probably that jam.
So it's that one. The Crabmon is the one from EX7 or EX8, sorry. The one that basically is on play, gives you blocker, and has the inheritable of jamming, which again, the whole idea behind your level 3s and your level 4s is to have jamming so that your top ends can just swing willy-nilly. A Crabmon X, I think, is pretty decent. You know, on play, they basically say can't be deleted in battle. So essentially like the Huangkun, which again is pseudo jamming in a sense, where as long as that effect is live, you can swing into security and not worry too much about dying. You've got your Seadramon sort of soup here. The EX8 Seadramon to attack gain a memory. You've got the promo Seadramon, which has rush, or sorry, BT15 Seadramon that has rush and jamming. And then the Seadramon X is pretty good again for just getting rid of floodgates, as well as just more cycle. Mega Seadramon helps it so that you don't redirect it, or sorry, not this is helps you restand, so you get multiple checks in with your body. I think paired with the pretty good level 5 that we got in BT20 with the Wingdramon, inherent check +1 is really good on Evo, being able to pop a 6k DP or less body. Again, really good for dealing with like low level 3, level 4s that are just kind of annoying and floating on the board.
Mm.
But again, the whole idea is to give your stack jamming and then the check +1 to kind of restand and do a lot of damage that way. And then we get to our top end here, right? Which is basically every good blue card, which is Hexablow, great for Tamer interaction. Galen X with your X antibody package is always going to be an annoying card to deal with and to play around. And then the limited Mirage Galgamon is always warranted a spot in a blue deck right now. And then you kind of top it off with Omni X Cool Boy because you do run a decent amount of X antibody pieces. Helps you get some search in, helps you draw. Your plethora of boosts, Hammer Spark, and Scramble. Again, just for tempo and making your plays more efficient. And like I said, the X antibodies just to make your evos a little bit cheaper. I'm assuming the protoform also is just good because if your body gets deleted because blue lacks protection, you just tuck the protoform, pseudo recovery in a sense.
Yeah.
It just helps you recycle your hand a little bit too.
Also, let's Galen X activate all of its stuff too.
Right. So I think it just makes sense. You know, this is probably again just like a soup of the best blue cards you could pit together, you know, in sort of as coherent as an engine as possible. And it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think it's cool. It's like you described it perfectly. It's all blue good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't want to linger too much on it.
Yeah, no, you're good. We'll jump on over. Next up we have Luce-Leviamon. This was piloted by DJ Tama over in China. It won a Super Tamer battle. It got second, or it didn't win. Sorry, got second place. 121 players. It looks like.
Oh.
Luce-Leviamon it's pretty much Luce-Leviamon that deck, but then you run like some Demon Lord good stuff in there. Like Leviamon's just such a generically good purple card that he fits in there. At the low end, we see a lot of like pretty good like standard, like you have your Ukomons for, you know, quick aggression, early rush, and consistency. The Lucy's from EX6 as well as BT18 with, you know, pretty strong start of mains to help either search or potentially burn your opponent's security or recover you something. Psychomon Floodgates, Phascomon for draw engine. This Goblimon can be pretty decent for some fun plays, especially when paired with the EX6 Luce-Leviamon Chaos Mode, because you can play attempt to delete it and then get his whole all turns effect. Running the EX6 Luce-Leviamon, of course, that card is insane and such a headache. It is just such a strong card, and I have nightmares about it every day because of Demon Lords. The BT18 Chaos Mode's also a pretty good card, mostly just for the Luce-Leviamon deck. He doesn't really get played in like regular Demon Lords, but you know, he's cool. The one of Lumina Nene is interesting to me. I guess
that card haunts my dreams.
I guess it kind of does the same thing as the Gobly.
Yeah.
And then you can, I mean, the Undertamer stuff doesn't really matter, but being able to just kind of have another, like, a body you can slam to potentially pop something or...
yeah, I think I actually sent this list to Rio. Because at least first glance, and, you know, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but it almost had like a Sekani... Luce-Leviamon,
yeah.
like obviously the Luce-Leviamon package is there, right? But this is probably as close to an iteration to Sekcon as you'll probably get. Granted, you're not running a lot of options here. You're really just running a lot of like cheap ace.
Yeah, you run some effective ace cards and everything. Yeah, I think
just treat your aces as options at that point.
The biggest issue with like Sekcon as an archetype thing is that there's just too many protections now that run around, or too much recursion, or things are too fast to the point where Sekcon like just cannot. It can't function. So you like Luce-Leviamon's the closest you really get there in terms of being like weird, scrappy, just like purple, yellow, good stuff oftentimes. But yeah, so just the whole menagerie of level 6s here past that with the Leviamon, Seraphi Ace, Cherubi Ace, BLs from EX6, Medieval Gallant, Promo Gallant, Valky Ace, Shadow Seraphi. Like, it's just like, they just have so many tools to try and deal with things. All of the aces can go over your Luce-Leviamons. The rest of the bodies we can very easily hard slam because our Chaos Modes are 13 KDP. Promo Gallant's active. Medieval Gallant's always just a good card to tech in. Levi is also 13k, so it's pretty easy just to kind of find that requirement to just be able to play out the quick rush body.
Right.
And then a pretty decent like slew of options. Like the Binding Crush makes sense. Ultimate Sacrifice does. Seeing Revenge from Darkness, or Revive from Darkness, I think is as it's translated in English, is cool. It makes sense. You don't really need too many of the on plays in here. Just kind of being able to like cycle things out weirdly for 4 costs is pretty decent. So that's a neat tech card in there. I'm curious what combos you can mess around with this. And then we have the one of Black Sabbath in here, where when your hand's low enough, I guess you can go ahead and activate it from the trash, which it can be a way to save you if you're about to deck out. It's nice. But also being able to just trash card in your hand, delete something level 4 or lower is not bad for 2 cost. Helps get rid of like floodgates and stuff.
Right.
And then the Mako's a decent search card as well for this, because it's a purple or yellow Digimon card, which a lot of your Digimon are purple or yellow. And then can help you kind of set up trash with certain things if you need to. But yeah, overall, like a really cool deck. I personally am someone who played a decent chunk of Luce-Leviamon for a while. It is a very fun archetype, and there's a lot of different things you can do with it. If you're someone who's wanting to play a little bit more kind of stall control, I do recommend it. But just keep in mind that against things like Sakuya and like Megidra right now, it can have a bit of a tough time because they just go so fast. Or they lock you out of a lot of your things. But almost against everything else in the meta, it has some fun matchups with. Yeah, I think that's about it there. That's all I got. Cool. That's all I got. We'll scoot on.
Scooting on to Hero Atmon. This is piloted by Federico Palantonio over in LATAM. Got top 8 at the LATAM Regionals, and congratulations there, securing the Nats invite. This is an interesting deck. I think a lot of folks have, I wouldn't say slept on it, but I think kind of just sort of underestimated how much damage that hero can do. Because a lot of folks have focused right on like hunters or like even like the whole like link mechanic stuff. Like everybody's like kind of focused on the in archetype stuff. And sort of when we're talking about this weird mishmash of like tamers and Digimon cards, we kind of think about adventure, right? More so than this. But I feel like hero, the more we think about it, the more we talk about it, the more we see some of it in play, like it can do a lot of damage. So the whole idea behind it, right, is you want to play out your tamers. So your core tamers are the Tagiru, the Hero, and the Takuya. A lot of these tamers gain you draw power as well as memory during the start of your turn. So really great in terms of just overall efficiency. And then the combo is to go into your new BT21 Agunimon, which when digivolving, you place a hybrid or hero trait under your hand or trash as the bottom Digivolution card, and then you can go ahead and evo when attacking into a hero trait Digimon card from the hand with the Digivolution cost reduced by 1. The idea is to go Aguni, go into Globemon as your level 5. Globemon, on evo, you can go ahead and link the Dogachmon. You go ahead and do multiple checks off of that. More often than not, because Aguni gets you plus 2k DP, and other like ways to climb DP via globe, you're a big guy and you're gonna be living multiple checks. And then pair that along with some of the low aggression pokes you get with your rookies, you can do some pretty quick damage. And then the whole like idea to finish with Gaiamon is to just go ahead and say, okay, we're gonna trash the rest of your security, restand, be a big blocker, and just sort of hope we live until the next turn so that we can go for game. If you deal with me, then I've got tamers out on the board that can just easily like hybrid for game sort of mechanic, right? So there's a lot of interesting, neat ways to go about the deck. I am curious to see how that evolves over the next couple of months as we see more regionals come into play, because I think people are starting to catch on to it. I wouldn't say it's like a popular meta pick by any means, but it's definitely, I think, creeping into it. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. Derek, who showed up at our locals the other day, shout out to you again, homie. Thank you for showing for coming out. Was playing this deck, and what he was saying is that a lot of people were initially, when hero stuff was all coming together, they were focusing on Arrestor Superior mode too much. And people are starting to now lean more towards Globe because you can, swing a Goonie, go into it, and do the 2 checks pretty early for just like really cheap aggression. And as mentioned, being able to wideboard tamers and everything else off of the checking security and stuff. And then, you have Dogesh you can link to potentially do more checks if you're able to restand in some way, or like on following turns if you're just trying to like do just different things. There's a lot of different things you can do. But anyways, the deck is surprisingly fast and efficient. And I think as people are now starting to realize how powerful Globemon is as a card, I think we're seeing like more of this deck kind of shine a bit and find its way.
Yeah. Well, because another thing to point out too, right? Like you mentioned, Takuya lets you play out Tamers pretty pretty easily, right?
Yeah.
But then the Tagi and the Hero, they do such a great job at making your plays so much more efficient, right? You
Yeah.
don't need to run like boost or not boost, like Graph Crush, blah blah blah, or even like Jack Raid, right? Because like Tagi starter main, you gain a memory tuck. Hero, when you tuck something underneath, which you're typically doing either with like a Goonie or whatever, right? You gain a memory, draw one. So your consistency and your memory is just so efficient that, like you said, you can just climb up into a globe very quickly, do a lot of aggression, do a lot of wideboarding. Globe also lets you delete a Digimon too, so a lot of control there as well. And it has some neat tools.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so it's just cool to see. It's cool to see people like it's cool to see the meta developing more and more as we're moving forward, and people like finding other decks that can play in this format and kind of mess around with stuff.
Right.
So yeah, that's really cool. Jumping on to our last deck of the night here. We got some KFC, some Geel chicken. This was piloted by Boris. I do not know what SG is. I am so sorry. Singapore? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Got first place at a Tamer battle of 16 players, so congrats to you. So pretty much the idea here is you run the Megidra base for 3s and 4s, and then when you comes to 5 and 6s, you run Phoenix stuff. Basically the idea is that you have all these on deletion inherits to gain memory, that when you swing with Phoenix X off of Blitz, especially if you go into it using something like Protoform to go into it for 4, at the end of the attack, you can activate all your on deletion effects, so you can still get the trash security off of Garuda X. You can get the memory gain off of Guilmon and Growlmon, and basically become like a 2-cost Evo or even a 3-cost Evo if you use the Protoform to go into Garuda X. But you get just like so many like different like kind of answers that not so many different, but you just basically have a different answer as your top end to kind of deal with your opponent's board state, and also kind of like keep the body on board while benefiting from a lot of the on deletions. And then even then, if you do get deleted, you still get those on deletions, right? So there's a lot of like really cool stuff you can do with this deck. It's really, really neat. I have not seen it too much in action myself, so I'm not gonna sit here and pretend I can go through all the combos. I know the general idea is you go up your line very similar to Megidra, and then you just kind of Protoform into Garuda X, and then go into Phoenix X and try and do some shenanigans. It just has the additional kind of like benefit of like you can keep the body on board and keep kind of pushing that aggression potentially. You also have Blitz still, so you can kind of get there. Oh, I accidentally clicked off of the list. Where'd it go? There it is. I found it. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's really cool. It's very, very fun. I recommend people try it. You can end up kind of wideboarding a little bit too, thanks to Phoenix X's effect of its on deletion to play one red Digimon card with Avian, Bird, Beast, Animal, or Sovereign, other than Sea Animal in one of its traits with 11,000 DP or less from your hand without paying the cost. And then you also can delete something, or delete one of your opponent's Digimon with DP less than or equal to the DP of the Digimon played by this effect. So you can kind of get a little bit of board control out of it still. Not quite the Dark Hole effect that Megidra is, but you're keeping a body on board. So
yeah,
it's cool.
For sure.
It's cool. It's really, really cool. And it's neat to just see like more creativity come out of it. I saw this list actually do pretty well at Eagles just yesterday. Someone was playing it. I don't remember who, but they're doing pretty well.
Gotcha.
So it's slowly on the rise, and I've been seeing the list kind of crop up here and there more, and I'm definitely interested to try it myself. But yeah, I think that about does it.
Sure.
So that's all we got for you guys this week. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed all these decks that we've shown you. Again, if there's any decks you want us to keep an eye out for or show off, let us know in the comments down below. We'll do our best to show them. Things are pretty I'm gonna just call out the English out of the card game. Y'all boring. You guys?
Yeah.
It is the same. It's the same like 5 decks, and then you go over to JP and like people are being pretty creative. So try something new. Get a little festive with it. have some fun.
That's
But-
gonna be a tall order with some of these regionals coming up.
Yeah, no,
I'm
it's-
fully expecting to see just Sakuya and Megidra.
Yeah, it's
Again.
it's competitive season. I get people wanting to play top stuff, but it is just funny to see the stark difference between how JP is playing the game right now
Yeah,
and how
no,
English is.
I 100 agree, 100% agree.
But no, thank you guys for checking us out, for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed this stuff. We will do our best to try and find some other lists as we move forward, and like I said, we'll look into putting together some like theory crafted lists from future set stuff. To kind of maybe give an idea of what some decks might look like moving into some of these future formats. You know, just to kind of get a little bit of a an idea going, plant a seed.
Yeah.
So I did otherwise do the like and subscribe stuff, and I'll let Ben send us out.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in, as TJ said, and hopefully we catch ya on that flippy flip. Bye bye.